Can we talk about this, Lawrence? The Steelers are crazy.
So
they're what are they? 4-2, 5-1.
4-2.
4-2. They're 4-2.
Very scrappy 4-2.
Yeah, like
they're 4-2. They're in first place. Like
if you missed it,
yeah.
Russell Wilson is in consideration to start versus the Jets this Sunday. I say in consideration. I don't think there's a human left in the world that doesn't think Russell Wilson is starting. Before we have the convo, fellas, let's just listen to Mike Tomlin and we'll react to his thought process because I did think what he had to say was at least interesting.
There's also a totality of his resume as well that makes you more comfortable than guys with shorter resumes in that regard in terms of his ability to play ball on a limited amount of exposure. I have that mentality about guys across positions, and we've had that discussion before. Veteran players, that's just comfort that comes with experience in some of those, really sometimes uncomfortable discussions. I'll acknowledge that Russ proved his health last week, man, and we're looking hard at it this week. It is up for consideration.
I think the reality is the Steelers want to win games 12-6.
Yeah, look, they want to win games. So if you want to do that, that's what you've been doing. Now, I would say this: I don't think it would have been even a consideration had the Steelers found a way to mess it up against the Raiders. But Justin Fields started off shaky in that game. They got it together and won the game by 20 points. So, but from the way their offense is run, we've seen Arthur Smith as a coordinator here in Pittsburgh. We've seen him in Atlanta. We've seen him in Tennessee. It's all the same thing. So when Russell Wilson gets in there, what's the difference going to be? The quarterback can't escape and run away when things break down. So, I mean, you'll get more from a fantasy perspective. If it is Russ, you'll get more targets to the running backs. Right? What you won't have is a startable quarterback in fantasy, at least not with top 12 upside like Justin Fields gave.
He's not going to the upside of Justin Fields. I think he's potentially usable very quietly last year. Russell Wilson was quarterback 11 in points per game. He averaged over 17 fantasy points per game. There are some weapons there. Now, and Russell Wilson, again, at least 15 fantasy points in 11 of his last 15 starts. But to your point about no upside, he has only 3 games during that stretch with over 20 fantasy points. Tough matchup against the Jets, a desperate Jets team that really needs to win this game. Jets allow the third fewest fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So I'm not starting Russell Wilson this week, even if the Steelers are. It's more of an NFL discussion than a fantasy one. The only thing I was just say is what's weird to me is like I came out of that Cowboys-Steelers game because I was there in Pittsburgh, and as were you. And we just had a conversation, Lawrence, where we're just like, if Justin Fields made some basic third down throws, they win that game. He was awful. He was basically the reason they lost that game. One of the big
Pittsburgh run defense.
And the Pittsburgh run defense. They somehow couldn't stop Rico Dowdle on the last drive.
But I would say it was his worst effort of the season from like a pure quarterbacking standpoint. Yeah.
And so I went out that week and said, like, I feel like they're going to turn to Russell Wilson here. Just, stuff that I'm hearing and everything like that. And just, again, like, Mike Tomlin's not an idiot. Like, he's got a team that can win, and they just need a quarterback that can literally be competent. And Justin Fields just couldn't make basic throws. He can do some electric plays, but he couldn't do, like, basic QB stuff. And then they went out and used him. Then they started him again against the Raiders. And by the way, Fields played a lot better. They won big. And so I'm like, I guess they're – but now, after that, now they're going to Russell Wilson. The one thing I will say is that this is something that I was talking with Coach Dungy, and I don't think he'll mind me sharing this, but Coach Dungy, who obviously works for Football Night in America, and he went to Steelers practice prior to the Dallas game to, obviously to do his prep for his broadcast on Football Night in America. And he said, I went there on Thursday, and Russell Wilson was playing the role of Dak Prescott, against the first-team Steelers defense to get the Steelers defense ready for the Cowboys game. And he just said to me, he's like, Russell was lighting him up. He's like, Russ looked great and was just lighting him up in practice. So, again, it's one day and it was a week and a half ago, but if that's what Mike Tomlin is seeing in practice, that Russ is just lighting him up, just lighting up this elite defense, the Steelers defense, then it sort of makes sense. It's just a weird one to me off of a win where he played. Like, it's weird that you wouldn't make the change after the Cowboys game, but you would make the change heading into the Jets game after a win.
Well, that's my counter. I think this is the wrong week to do it. You want a running quarterback against the Jets front. Josh Allen, his effectiveness against the Jets was running around and creating plays or using his legs to pick up yards. It's not like he dropped back and just picked them apart. The Bills ran the ball down the Jets' throats in that game.
Did.
And part of the threat of the Bills' running game is that Josh Allen can also run. Same with the Steelers. If the Steelers have a quarterback that doesn't run anymore in Russell Wilson, and they're just turning around and handing the ball to Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, yes, you can run on the Jets, but it's more predictable.
Yeah,
it's more simplified.
I don't think it is as effective. Like those holes that you saw the Bills creating, that was like saying, like, oh, we got to watch out for the quarterback too.
Tomlin was also asked, I think, in that press conference, if there was a chance to see both guys on Sunday, and he said yes.
Yeah,
there's
that's
a
worse
chance.
In the past for teams.
I know, it's awful. But
I think
anyway.
that's worse than
I agree.
you know.
I agree with you. But
do you think they start Russell this Sunday?
I do.
You do?
I do as well. But either way, what I will tell you is for fantasy purposes, for the purposes of what we're talking about here, is I don't want either guy. I guess if Fields gets the start, I feel like, to your point, like it'd be good against the Jets, but
it'd be effective.
But there's a chance that he gets pulled for Russell Wilson.
That's a good point.
Just be aware that if he struggles against, Sauce Gardner and hopefully DJ Reed's back, that they might pull him. He's going to have a short leash. So it's a really dicey situation in Pittsburgh for the quarterback situation. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.